incubator of life, through our lines.
Hey, I'm Luminousz Star. Welcome to the channel. Everyone who's a current subscriber, thank you so much for your subscription, and thank you for your inspiration and keeping Luminousz Star channel active. Our family is growing every day. Our star family is getting larger and larger by the minute. I love it. Thank you guys and gals so much for your support. Thank you for your donations, and thank you for keeping it tuned in to Luminousz Star channel. Everyone who's watching it for the first time, thank you so much for your time, and I certainly hope you come back and visit. But as a new subscriber, check that subscription button below and go ahead and become a part of the Star family. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for visiting Luminousz Star. Today's video, how the narcissist influences others to remain in the sunken place. Simply put, how does a narcissist keep you in the sunken place? How do they influence you to stay there? Just certain things that they may say and do that will influence you to stay in the sunken place. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of shenanigans. There's a lot of tactics that he or she uses to influence you to stay right in that sunken place so they can continue to feed off of your energy field. That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. There are some who don't understand that the dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist and cluster personality is not your typical dysfunctional relationship. There's two reasons why the narcissist and the cluster personality, they don't do very well with interpersonal relationships or intimacy. And that is because, number one, they lack the ability to emotionally regulate. Number two, they lack empathy. So the narcissist and cluster personality, they have detached from their hearts a long time ago. This can be parents, this can be family, friends, this can be exes, it can be your spouse, it can be current lovers, or what have you. If they have a cluster personality or a narcissistic personality, just know this: they have detached from their ability to love a long time ago. It's not your fault. Okay, so this is something that some of us who have had relationships with him or her have simply learned through trial and error. We have been involved with them. We have had dysfunctional relationships with them. So we have simply come to learn this. Okay, so don't beat yourself up. So the narcissist and cluster personality, they have become specialists. Okay, they're masters at keeping the dysfunctional relationship toxic. If they're not good at anything else, they're very good with that. This is one of the ways that a person can be influenced to remain in the sunken place. That means the shenanigans, the tactics for source supply that the narcissist and cluster personality seems to juggle. This will influence, or can possibly influence, someone else to stay in the sunken place. Now, I want to make this clear. It's not the cluster personality's fault if a person remains in the sunken place, and it's not their responsibility to lift somebody up out of the sunken place. A person has to have emotional discipline, and that means he or she must figure out how they can care for themselves emotionally, basically to get those needs met. How he or she can constructively get others or communicate to others that they have certain needs and desires in a relationship. That takes emotional discipline. So people who choose to comply to the shenanigans and the diabolical tactics of the narcissist and cluster personality, that means that he or she has chosen to remain in the sunken place. And on one hand, yes, the narcissist and cluster personality can influence that. But on the other, as I stated before, that person who has chosen to comply, they have to build up enough emotional stability and confidence to have emotional discipline. Okay, that means they have to figure out how they're going to lift themselves up out of the sunken place. It's really not up to the narcissist or cluster personality, and it's not their responsibility to do so. Okay, so don't forget to like and share this video. Check the description box below for further details to today's video. I'm Luminousz Star. I certainly hope that you are doing well. And of course, I wish you the very best. And having said all that, let's get on with the video. How the narcissist influences you to remain within the sunken place. First point, dysfunctional relationships with narcissists and those with a cluster personality are not typical dysfunctional relationships. Narcissistic personality disorder is a symptom of a cluster B personality, which is a fixed personality. Those with this personality are chronically impaired within two areas, intimacy and interpersonal functions. All right, so the cluster B personality, not only do they not know how to emotionally regulate, not only do they lack empathy, but they also are chronically impaired in two areas, that is intimacy and interpersonal relationships or functions. When you combine all of that, that means you're dealing with a person who has a personality disorder that is extremely fixed. It is very little chance to none that he or she will have a moment of clarity where they will change. They tend to lack foresight. In other words, they don't learn from their mistakes. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they simply don't think they make mistakes. They tend to have a strong sense of entitlement. The narcissist and the cluster B personality, they simply don't know how to connect to other people in a very meaningful way. Next point. Dysfunctional relationships are what narcissists and those with a cluster B personality specialize in. He or she has mastered the art of how to keep dysfunctional relationships active. Whether this is intentionally or not is irrelevant. So that is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if the narcissist is doing this intentionally or not. It doesn't matter if the cluster B personality is setting things up intentionally or not to hurt others. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Simply because the thing that the person really has to focus in on is that the dysfunctional relationship is dysfunctional because the cluster B personality and the narcissist, they don't know how to emotionally regulate. Therefore, they don't know how to connect to others in a meaningful way. That's really the only thing that people need to focus on when they're dealing with the narcissist, when they're dealing with the cluster B personality, when they're hoping to have a relationship. They have to keep this in mind in order to be able to survive the dysfunctional relationship with him or her and to thrive past it. It's not your typical dysfunctional relationship because the personality disorder is very extreme. It is very fixed. So the cluster B personality and the narcissistic personality is one whereas they're not going to be able to connect to other people in a meaningful way. So it is not a very good idea to invest in a relationship with him or her, whether it's personal or even professional. Let's move forward. In order to ensure the survival of the false self-image of narcissists, he or she must thrive within dysfunctional relationships with others at all costs. Those who are emotionally invested and who comply to the diabolical tactics and shenanigans of the narcissist cosign to an existence within the sunken place. This is how a person remains in the sunken place. This is how a person remains stagnant in his or her life, simply by choosing to comply to the diabolical tactics and the shenanigans of a narcissist or cluster B personality. They're simply going along with it. They may not feel too good. However, deep down inside, they're telling themselves that they deserve the toxicity of the narcissist and cluster B personality. This again keeps them within the sunken place and it keeps them stagnant in life. So in order to survive the narcissist and cluster B personality, they're going to be only focused on their false self-image at all costs and at the expense of not only you, but other people. So the dysfunctional relationship will remain dysfunctional no matter what is said, no matter what is done. It is fixed that way because the cluster B personality and the narcissistic personality is a personality disorder that is fixed. Okay, let's move on. One can choose to continue to comply to a dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist, or they can seek to end the toxicity once and for all. Narcissists by nature tend to be bullies. Therefore, once a person decides to discontinue to have a relationship with him or her, their predatory senses usually a lot of cluster personalities and narcissists, they have predatory natures. Okay? They like to hunt for source supply as a sport. It's all survival to them. It's about survival of the fittest. So when you factor that in, they can tend to be bullies. However, when a person decides they're going to discontinue the relationship with him or her, their predatory senses, the narcissist that is, their predatory senses will heighten. The cluster personality's predatory senses will heighten because they notice something is different. Basically, the narcissist and cluster personality's false self-image will feel challenged and threatened. This is another reason why their predatory senses will heighten once you decide you're not going to continue on in the relationship with him or her. They feel threatened because they're losing supply now. Once you end that relationship, whether it's because they abruptly walk away or if you have decided to go no contact, see, whichever way it goes, they're losing supply. It equals out to the narcissist losing supply. He or she may walk away from that relationship because they have others that they can use for supply other than you. Okay, so this is something that is very common with cluster B personalities and narcissists. If they know that there's others that they can get supply from, and you have been a predatory source supplier for a while, he or she will abruptly abandon the relationship. They will walk away. However, if you choose to go no contact, again, they're losing supply either way. However, it's more of a threat to their false self-image if you are the one to decide to change the game. Okay? So they have predatory senses that will heighten at this time. So beware. Next point. Once this occurs, the narcissist's mask may slip off due to their fear of possibly losing primary source supply. The diabolical tactics for source supply more than likely will increase. Individuals reduce their chances of emotionally integrating, healing, and thriving forward by complying to the dysfunctional relationship with narcissists and or cluster personalities. So a person will greatly reduce their chances of emotionally integrating, therefore healing and thriving forward by simply complying or co-signing the dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist and going along with the diabolical tactics and going along with when they pull shenanigans. In other words, they're still available in the relationship. Yet a person may protest, they may verbalize their displeasure. However, actions speak louder than words. So to the narcissist, as long as you're still available, that's enough. That does not threaten their false self-image. That's not a challenge for them to change at all. However, once you decide that relationship is over, their mask may slip off at that time because now their false self-image has been threatened by this new you. Now they're challenged by your choosing to go no contact. They're losing primary source supply. So beware, the mask may slip off at this time and their diabolical tactics for source supply from you may increase. How does that look? They may get the flying monkeys. They may recruit enablers to bully you back into the relationship or to hoover you back in. I call this particular tactic the 1-2 punch from the narcissist. First, they hover or they linger over your life as if they're a ghost because you're not physically dealing with him or her. The narcissist will recruit enablers and flying monkeys to bring them up in a conversation with you. So it will be like they're still in your life when physically the narcissist and cluster personality, they're not in your life, but it will feel like they are. That's the first punch. That is the hovering or they're lingering over your life. The second punch is when they have been successful in reeling you back in, or sucking you back in, or hoovering you back in. You're supplying him or her again, as if nothing ever happened, as if they did not break your heart, as if they did not cause you any other type of grievance. Okay, so I call that the 1-2 punch. That's a tactic that a lot of people overlook. They go right to the hoovering, but what they don't look at is what happens before the actual hoovering takes place. They hover over your life first. This is where the flying monkeys and or enablers come in that they have recruited. They will talk about the narcissist to you. They will tell you that the narcissist is sick, or they're now asking about you, or they're concerned about. So in other words, it's the conversation turns to the narcissist. You could be talking about a restaurant that you like to go to. Somehow that particular conversation will turn into and be the focal point of the narcissist by the enabler, by the flying monkey that they have recruited. Okay, a lot of you have already experienced this. Again, I just wanted to point out how they will often hover over your life first. They will linger like a phantom or a ghost because they know you're not going to deal with him or her physically. You have already gone no contact, or you're on your way to doing that. You may be low contact, in other words. So beware when that mask slips off. Signs of being within a sunken place. First sign, suppressing your emotions about childhood trauma, dysfunctional family, addiction, and unresolved pain that seems to haunt you. So if you're going through this, this is a sign that you are currently in a sunken place. Second sign, complying to dysfunctional relationships, whereas you are not being validated. So if you are in dysfunctional relationships and you're not being validated, in other words, you may tell someone that you have experienced the narcissist and cluster B personality in a particular way. He or she may respond by saying, oh, you just dream, you're not, that's not really how it went down. Or you're wrong about that. Or you hallucinated the whole thing. That really didn't happen to you. So this is where the gaslighting may come in, not only from the narcissist and cluster B personality, but from the enabler or enablers, from the flying monkey or the flying monkeys that they have been recruited. All right, so this is something that can also happen. The diabolical tactics will increase. So if you are complying to dysfunctional relationships, in other words, you're co-signing, not being validated, you're in a sunken place because you are telling yourself that it is okay. You're normalizing the dysfunctional relationship. There is nothing natural or normal about a dysfunctional relationship. And this is what the narcissist hopes you will continue to do. So this is another sign of being in a sunken place. When you permit others to tell you that you are wrong about your experience of the narcissist and cluster B personality. Next sign, emotionally numbing out. Fourth sign, becoming comfortable within the toxic theme of the dysfunctional relationship with a narcissist and or cluster B personality. I'm going to go right for that last sign because the third sign is pretty much self-explanatory. If you are comfortable within the toxic theme of a dysfunctional relationship, you are in the sunken place. You're deep in the sunken place. Okay, because now you're comfortable with the toxicity of the dysfunctional relationship. So anything the narcissist says or does goes. You're numbed out now. It kind of goes right into, actually all of these signs correlate. But it actually has a lot to do with emotional numbing out, because now you're not even protesting. You're just going along with it. In other words, you've given up on yourself. So now you're comfortable in the sunken place. So all of the diabolical tactics go. All of the shenanigans that the narcissist pulls, oh, they can just go to town with it because they know that you're not going to protest. Not verbally, not even physically, not even emotionally. The narcissist and cluster B personality, they know you've given up. Don't be surprised. This is also the time when the narcissist and cluster B personality, they will seek others out for supply. They will keep you in the sunken place and they go out and they look for other source suppliers. That will usually increase once you have become comfortable with being in the sunken place. In other words, the theme of the dysfunctional relationship, which is very toxic. What's the theme? The theme is what's actually going on in the relationship. What's going on? The diabolical tactics, the shenanigans that are being pulled by the narcissist and cluster B personality. That's the theme of the dysfunctional relationship. What makes it dysfunctional? The toxicity. So pinpoint the theme. The theme again is what's going on. What's actually taking place in that dysfunctional relationship that makes it so toxic, that makes it dysfunctional. Manipulation, that's a theme. Deception, that's another theme. Gaslighting, that's another theme. Once a person becomes comfortable with that, he or she is deep within the sunken place. Beware of these signs. Okay, and I'm not saying if this is your situation that means you should give up. No, quite to the contrary. I want you all to see this in hopes that you will awaken and realize that this is not what you're on this planet for. You're not here to experience this only. Okay? Tool number 1, stop telling the same story that the narcissist has sold you. Write the epilogue to your story by stating that you are here. You survived, and now you are choosing to thrive forward. So tool number 1 in summary is this. Stop telling yourself the same story the narcissist has sold you. In other words, they have lied to you about who you are, who they are, what the relationship is really about. The relationship, if it's dysfunctional with the narcissist, and it is, it's a lie. It's a lie. Taking off the rose-colored glasses. Okay, that has to happen. Discontinue to tell the same story the narcissist has sold to you, because it is a lie. You can write the epilogue to your story by simply stating that you are here. Because you are. Your heart may be broken, but you're here. You may have been afraid for a long time, but you're here. You're still breathing. You're still a part of humanity. You survived, and now you're choosing to thrive forward. And how can you do that? How can you thrive forward? First, by facing the reality. Take those rose-colored glasses off and see the narcissist for who they really are and what they really represent. Look at the relationship. What is the condition of the relationship? It's toxic. It's dysfunctional. Therefore, the quality of it is very poor. Tool number 2, discontinue to accept the outrageous behavior and attitude of the narcissist by giving them a space within your life. He or she has dismissed and denied you enough. Don't pick up where they left off. Okay, so tool number 2 in summary is that you want to discontinue to accept the outrageous behavior and attitudes. I want to suggest to you to at least start to look at the theme of the relationship. If the relationship doesn't feel good to you, then it's probably a good idea to conclude that it's not good for you. Okay, so discontinue to accept the outrageous behavior and attitude of the narcissist by giving them the space within your life. As long as you're providing them the space within your life to run or pull shenanigans, okay, as long as they have that space in your life, they're not going to be challenged at all. Their false self-image will not be challenged, and their false self-image will not be threatened, because they're not losing source supply. He or she has dismissed you. They have denied you over and over. A lot of people who are involved with the cluster B personality and narcissists, this is the amazing thing that they do. And it's fascinating and it's interesting. And that is they pick up where the narcissist left off. They pick up where the cluster B personality has left off. So they sacrifice themselves. They continue to comply or cosign to the shenanigans of the narcissist, to the diabolical tactics. So they're in the sunken place. And they have become comfortable there. Third and final tool. Seek out the support that you may desire and need in order to thrive forward. Don't look back at the narcissist. You will find that no one is there. The narcissist and the cluster B personality is a person who has mastered the dysfunctional and toxicity of a relationship. They don't invest in healthy relationships. So if you're involved with him or her, don't look back. If you have decided to thrive forward, if you have decided to go no contact, don't look back, because you will find that no one is there, because they were never there to begin with. Anybody who fits the description of having a cluster B personality or a narcissistic personality, they simply, figuratively speaking, they were not there in the first place to have a healthy relationship with you. Now, you may have not had the tools to have a healthy relationship yourself. The bottom line is this. If you were involved with the cluster B personality of a narcissist, they were never there on board. They were never present to begin with. I don't care if the relationship was healthy or not. If you're talking about the narcissist and cluster B personality, you did not have a healthy relationship with him or her. Let's just go ahead and make that clear. So once you start to branch out or seek out or reach out for support, and you thrive on forward, and you go no contact, don't look back. If you do, you're not going to find anybody there who is trustworthy. You're not going to find anybody there who's on board for you to keep thriving forward and to invest in healthy relationships. They're not on board for that. They're not going to be on board for your being supportive. They're not going to support you in your efforts to heal and thrive forward. Please understand that. So don't look back. You're not going to find anybody there. Okay? I want to thank everybody for joining me today or tonight. I'm Luminousz Star. Thank you for watching. Please scroll down. Check out the description box below. If you are not a current subscriber, I want to invite you to become a part of the Star family.